Um,
Hey, yo, everybody. Tonight, I'm watching the Hard News Network live stream. A little bit of political news commentary stuff. So be warned. That's what you're gonna get. It's like listening to some type of radio show, but it's an independent streamer, so that's cool. This guy's cool.
uh, oh, Ethan Johansson, actually, this is a good point here. He said, one moment. Wait a minute. Holy crap, you're right. If Trump goes to war, Dems automatically win 2020. Why are they not pushing him? It's just suspicious to me that they were against going into Iran. I don't know. When you look at how, like, why were they for Syria, but they're against Iran? It doesn't make much sense unless they know it's bullshit. Um, but yeah, I don't. I would. I think I'm being conservative if I say he loses. We're talking like full on war, not sending like aircraft carriers or whatever. I'm talking 120 troops into Iran. If he did that, I think he'd lose at least 30% of his base, and you could argue way more than that. I
Yeah,
don't know how you really like. How
but
do
I'd
you
hope they have a
quantify that? I
good
don't know.
friggin'.
I'm not saying those people would vote Democrat, but there would be people that would be very pissed off at him. I would be very pissed off at him. I just don't think it would be such a blunder. I don't see him doing that. It would be stunning, and all the people that said "told you," as long as they consistently were arguing that Trump,
Level
you can't just
60
in
undead
hindsight
priest.
be like, "Oh, I
Wow.
told you." Like people would have to provide me with commentary of a person saying
What gear this person
Trump's going to go
has.
to war.
Hold on,
You
let's
people
inspect.
will see, and then yeah, they would be right, but I don't think he's going to do it. All right, here's the article from Brad Parsons.
Oh, yep. Croft Pro
The White
Magnus.
Is asking Americans to share
Yeah,
their
that's the
personal
one to
stories
get.
of censorship and bias on social media. Predictably, liberals don't seem interested in
Uh-huh.
believing these victims. The appeal was announced on Wednesday and
Interesting.
includes a tool to monitor big tech censorship. This is welcome news for conservatives and anyone concerned about the trend of censorship by the giant social media and search engine companies. It's proof positive that Donald Trump is very serious about stopping the suppression of conservative speech on social media, as he alluded to in a recent tweet when he said
Scylla.
social media and fake news together
Rep.
with their partner, the Democrat Party, have no idea
That was
of
a
the
good
problems
one,
they're
too.
causing for themselves. Very unfair. I would argue that the actual proof that he is serious is if something is done. This is certainly a step in the right direction, just like the uh, um, executive order with the colleges was a step in the right direction. I would argue that what's proof positive, I would say, would be yet to come. Mainstream media response to the new White House initiative, however,
We're gonna
expressed
jump.
precious little concern
Go ahead
about the
and
notion
jump.
that the tech
Oh,
oligopoly
come on,
is
let me
abusing
go,
its
let me go, let me go,
power
let me go,
over
go,
ordinary
go, 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 go,
Americans,
go, go,
instead
go.
trying to gaslight
All right.
us by implying that social media censorship is all in our heads. That's true. I wasn't surprised. That's been the fake news
Okay.
consistent
Can we get
stance
it? Can we get it?
big tech's
Oh, we set it
campaign
ablaze.
on the right from the modern public square and shift the terms of the debate in favor of the Democratic allies. Luckily, after years of ever-tightening censorship against conservatives and Trump supporters, that narrative is so transparently false it's impossible to take seriously. That's also true. Facebook, Twitter, Google, YouTube, and other social media platforms have become the essential forum for political debate. The gradual disappearance of popular right-leaning personalities and accounts from these platforms over the past 3 years is hardly just some big coincidence. In the beginning, when their terms of service were still minimal, vague, and ill-defined, the social media giants used overblown accusations of harassment to justify banning conservatives while still clinging publicly to their founding ethos of free speech. It's an amazing hypocrisy. You call someone a faggot, and people are like, remove this man from the public square, but they're fucking assaulting people like Tommy Robinson. Now, I understand it, throwing a milkshake on someone is not the same as shooting them in the face. I realize that there's a difference. That's still assault. And by the way, that's just the beginning. They already graduated to bricks, and that took, 2 days? So that's funny. They're like, oh, take it, it's nothing. They're just throwing milkshakes and bricks, you pussy. That's what they argue. Yet you say something back to them, and they're, oh, can't handle it. I've been triggered. One preliminary study by Dr. Richard Hania showed that 21 out of 22 prominent people suspended by Twitter in recent years were Trump supporters. Now the social media companies increasingly
That
inject
use?
politics
Oh,
into
man,
their
that use
rules and
sucks.
decisions for monitoring their platforms, banning people not for any tangible violation, but for having dangerous ideas, or, as was in the case for Michelle Malkin, censoring users for merely speaking in support of people who have, quote, dangerous ideas. Big Tech has tried to pass off some of its rule changes as politically neutral, such as when they began mandating the far left's new gender ideology, as well as banning those who dare refer to biological males as he, including prominent conservative scholars.
Oh, this guy's working on it
socialist
too.
feminists who choose to
Very
observe
nice.
traditional binary genders. All right, so Parscale so far, I think, has a good handle on this. He's bringing up some of the key examples. It seems well researched. I'm on board so far. Other changes, they admit, are purely political, such as banning white nationalism at the behest of left-wing groups that openly apply the same label to the president and his supporters. We have mountains of direct evidence that Big Tech is seeking
Oh,
to
he's a
swing
fucking
political
rogue.
in this country leftward. We know
Oh, I
from
wish that rogue would help
conscientious
me.
whistleblowers that Big Tech employees discuss censoring conservatives in the coarsest terms. Just this week, we learned that a Google subsidiary is working closely with the disgraced Southern Poverty Law Center to create automated artificial intelligence tools to reduce, quote, toxicity in online comments. Despite the best efforts of the left, the existence of Big Tech, bias, and censorship is beyond debate. Even honest Democrats like Tulsi Gabbard recognize that. Twitter founder and CEO
8 million
Jack
deaths
Dorsey
later.
certainly does, admitting, quote, I don't think we can be this neutral, passive platform anymore. Incredibly, though, many liberal journalists still claim not to see the censorship taking place at all around them, insisting that it must be a right-wing conspiracy theory, even as they call for Big Tech to take action against even more people and the ideas they don't like. Their more honest colleagues openly admit that the whole point of policing language is to deplatform their ideological opponents, but such honesty is disappointingly rare. CNN's rat-faced Oliver Darcy, for instance, he didn't use
Is that in there?
uses his platforms both online and on cable TV to claim that President Trump is cherry-picking and misleading us about the problem, and that Big Tech bias is just an allegation and a narrative. Ratface, as is typical of Big Tech's media champions, denies the existence of online censorship, yet prides himself on having pressured social media companies into banning his competitors. Darcy recently set his sights even higher, tacitly urging Twitter to ban the President of the United States from its service, asking, what is the difference at this point between Trump's Twitter feed and Infowars.com? BuzzFeed's Joe Bernstein, who, a side note, will never work for the New York Times, set his sights much lower than Darcy, publishing a long report castigating YouTube for not censoring a 14-year-old girl's comedy channel that he finds offensive. Well, that's a very good example to bring up. It's the lowest that BuzzFeed has gone so far. I imagine they're going to go a lot lower. She's being investigated by the fucking police at this point. That's insane. So good. I'm glad he included Soph. I don't believe he could have named her, but so far so good here. There is a link. If these journalists are going to argue that speech they don't like should be censored, they can't simultaneously pretend that social media censorship is made up, or worse, that President Trump is misleading people when he asks Americans to share their own experiences with that censorship. In short, we cannot let the liberal media piss on our back and tell if it's. Oh wait, hold on. That's great. This is the campaign. This is the dude running the campaign. He says we cannot let the liberal media piss on our back and tell us it's raining. Fantastic. That's as good as you're going to get with political people like that. We have plenty of evidence, statistical, anecdotal, and even direct statements by Big Tech execs. What we don't have is Big Tech's bread and butter, the one thing most responsible for their power, massive amounts of data. That's why President Trump needs your help to fill in the blanks. Don't let them to continue to get away with silencing you and then pretending you never existed. Let the White House know about every dirty, biased trick Big Tech has ever played. I'm a data guy by profession. I know how much difference this will make. I tell you, I forget whose video I was watching. They made a very good point when they said if Trump would have gone real hard on this, just using like Paul Joseph Watson and Laura Loomer, the media could use the narrative that Trump is defending extremists. If they get a shitload of data here from American citizens, it makes it a way better argument. He continues, mark my words, next year, when we're in the home stretch of the presidential campaign, Silicon Valley is going to kick its censorship campaign up to a level we've never seen before. I think it was Dave Cullen that made that point. Big tech executives and liberal journalists are going to do their very best to gaslight us, pretending that we're crazy whenever we try to complain. With your help and the submission of concrete examples of their bias, we'll be ready to call that bluff. So you can go to whitehouse.gov/techbias today and let the White House know every time you've been unfairly silenced and censored online, so President Trump can take stock and take action to protect our constitutional rights and make sure we're not silenced in 2020. So they need to follow through. That's the bottom line. If they follow through, this is great. If they don't follow through, this is a bunch of fucking bullshit. But you know, I'm a reasonable person. I'll give them an opportunity to do it. So I would absolutely encourage people to, if you've been censored, go to whitehouse.gov/techbias and fill it out. I'm trying to think. I think I could probably put the bullshit about what MSNBC and The Atlantic are doing when it comes to bullshit copyright claims. I think that's a way that they try to silence me personally, particularly The Atlantic. That fucker was a piece of shit. I forget his name, but the whole HNN site was shut down for 3 months. What a bitch. All right, let's move to the video portion here. We have L. Ron Humperdinck, Uncensored Super Chat, says, Joe Biden's rally was so small and weak that if it was a girl, he'd be there to fondle it and call it being personal. Yes, that's what he said his behavior was. He's being personal with people. That's, he's going to need a better explanation. Continuing, getting my money's worth for Super Chat, just want to say fuck Biden with fire. Yeah, fuck Joe Biden, and thank you, Elron. Appreciate that. Ethan Johansson says, wait a minute. I read that one with the war. Nemi 1974 says, if Iran gets a nuke, they will use it, and if Israel thinks Iran has a nuke, they will nuke them. It's a bad situation. It is. If they actually get a nuke, the United States, I mean, they'd probably have to go to war anyway, despite the country being completely against it, and then they would have to, like...
well, there's the next false flag, boys.
I'm actually showing evidence. Iraq really just fucked us up. I just don't ever envision any scenario where the populace would accept the government telling them. I mean, I wouldn't even accept that if they were like, Iran has a weapon of mass destruction. I'd be like, yeah, okay. Even though certainly, who could you get in there? You'd have to get rid of Bolton. And who could come in there that you would take serious? I don't know. I really don't know. CR Baconism says Soybeans throw things, real men whip out their members and battle it out. The biggest wins. Oh, it's like a size competition. It's not like a sword fight. That'd be a hell of a thing. Thank you, CR Baconism. All right, here we go. Speaking of all this bullshit, particularly when it comes to Oliver Darcy, here is the Brian Stelter show, which is hilariously labeled reliable sources. And hold on, let me speak it wrong. Also, let me throw the link. Once again, there is an uncensored chat, and putting the link in the description right now. There's no censorship, and also the super chats are uncensored, and the money does not go to Google. It goes to Entropy, and so far so good. Good company. Able to easily talk with them if there's any issues. So far so good. All right, so let's see here. Ethan Johansson says, guys, could you do my pocketbook a favor and just use soy as derogatory, not soybeans? I raised the latter. The former is a crappy meat replacement. Yeah, how does that work? Like, but they make, I guess it depends on what you do with the soybeans. So like you could do other shit with soybeans rather than like just make soy, or is the soybean come from soy? I really have no idea. But generally, yes, the soy is they don't call him a soybean boy. They call him a soy boy. Very good. Thank you, Ethan. Appreciate that. All right, here we go. Brian Stelter.
Hey, I'm Brian Stelter. It's time
Hey,
for
I'm Brian
Reliable
Stelter.
Sources. This is our weekly look at the story behind the story, of how the media really works, how the news gets made, and how all of us can help make it better. In this hour, we have breaking news from Alabama, where the state's...
So I think this person, by the way, MSNBC and CNN are just brutal now with copyright takedowns of everything that they can. It's very difficult. And so these people are still out here basically doing the Lord's work. Their accounts last like a week. And so they're using different tricks to try to avoid getting taken down. And so it looks like this person changed the screen size. I don't think that's going to work, but, best of luck. It's really unbelievable. And certainly, I understand, like, if they're just uploading the material straight. Okay, but they don't give a shit when it comes to fair use either.
Biggest newspapers are making a pretty bold statement about the state's new extreme anti-abortion bill. Later, we're going to get into the truth about President Trump's wealth and how business beat reporters are leading the way. Plus, we are
leading the way to reporting things that Trump put in his book 10 years ago. Is that when Art of the Deal was written? Was it 10 years? It might have been longer than that.
We're keeping track of the administration's briefing room silence. 69 days. Why is it that Gene Simmons is the only one standing at the Pentagon podium? Joe Lockhart's here to talk about that. But first, the new abnormal, and that's involving the T word, treason. The president is continuing to accuse members of the intelligence community of treason, an idea that only makes sense if you subscribe to the Sean Hannity cinematic universe. On Friday, Trump tweeted out...
So you can see the propaganda technique he's using. He's taking what is verifiable information when it comes to, for example, the FBI using unverified bullshit to spy on American citizens. So what he does is he just takes Sean Hannity and acts as if Sean Hannity came up with this conspiracy theory all on his own, and Trump's listening to Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity has nothing to do with this other than, like, he reports on it. But you could remove Sean Hannity completely from the equation, and there would be magically, the dossier wouldn't magically become verified if you removed Sean Hannity. It's just a technique. Bullshit.
This conclusive claim that his campaign was spied on, and he said this was treason. He apparently liked the idea so much that he retweeting himself on Saturday. So why am I bringing it up now? Because the news media mostly just sighed, shrugged, and moved on. It turns out even cries of treason are not enough to spark big breaking news coverage anymore. Now, that may be a good thing, or that may be a bad thing. What do you think? Even on Fox, Laura Ingraham barely took this idea seriously.
Treason means long jail sentences, and this was treason. Harmeet, we're almost out of time, but treason, yes or no?
Well, it could be.
It could be, yes or no. Come on, a yes or no answer for something as serious as this?
Are you nervous, bitch?
Now,
Are you nervous?
Broadcast networks too, and the only coverage of this treason tweet, the only show that I could find that mentioned it at all on Friday, was a comedy show.
Oh, nuts. Oh, nuts. Oh, nuts. Oh, nuts. Oh, nuts. Oh, nuts.
It'd be like plotting to make sure Papa John's didn't take home the world's best pizza cup. It's not something that was on anyone's mind.
How did this guy, what happened, man? Jimmy Kimmel and Adam Carolla were fucking hilarious on The Man Show. That show was great. How do you become
That was amazing.
Adam Carolla, I guess, you know,
was funny.
Part of it is, I think someone writes his jokes for him. Don't they have writers? It's just not
He's throwing some shade.
Not funny at all. Anyway, whatever.
Oh, there's some PvP going down.
Like a little bitch, but it
Are
might
they
make
dueling?
a difference since corn and soybeans, no farmer can make.
Oh, there's some
don't make
PvP
it
going down.
I guess wouldn't it depend on like
In
if
lava.
it's being
That's an
exported
epic match.
to China? Do we export soy to China? I don't know. I don't think anything would stop China's consumption of soy. America, it really depends. Like if it becomes, what is it? It's like a semi-popular meme. I don't think it's going full-blown mainstream. It is popular in America though. I don't generally, like, I still eat soy sauce. I don't really, I don't know if other people, like, if they're actually faced with soy. I never touch tofu and shit because I find it objectionable. Like, I just can't. Although, once in a while, like, it depends. Like, in, what is that shit? Hot and sour soup? It's fine. I don't care. For some reason, that doesn't bother me. But, I'm not like, oh, I got to take these pieces of tofu out. I don't want to, like, lose my penis. I don't think. I don't know if people. Maybe people won't eat it. It depends. Although also, was it the whole thing when Alex Jones? This was total bullshit, but it was hilarious. I don't think it was Alex Jones. I think it was. Was it Millie Weaver was in Seattle, and there were all these Starbucks cups on the ground, and she's like, look at all these soy lattes. I don't really think there was a way to ascertain whether or not, like, I don't think she went up to each cup, and because I think they will write whatever the beverage is. I don't think she did that. It was kind of funny, though. Francis Lancer says, too much soy. Too much soy for Jimmy Kimmel, or whoever's writing his jokes. Charles Hartman says, how is it not treason? It was a soft coup attempt. Yeah, so we discuss this from time to time. It could be sedition. It could be treason. Wouldn't treason involve like an enemy? Like if ISIS was somehow involved, like that's who would be considered like a actual enemy of America, right? Or if we were at war with a country. But anyway, it should be treated very seriously. And I think they're making an issue out of this because they're nervous. Horrible Gamer says they're nervous because the coup to take out Trump had to involve initial departments, previous administration, media executives, and tech giants. Oof. Yeah, WikiLeaks exposed the absolute incestuous relationship between the Clinton campaign and the media played up the narrative. There's no way they just did that organically. That's impossible. Yeah, and you see the behavior of some of these people. For example, the other day, Joy Reid was just really nervous. They're really nervous about this shit. She was like begging Jamie Raskin. She was like, would you please impeach this guy? Don't you understand what he's doing? Now he's investigating the investigators? That was great.
Hey, for the record, I like Papa John's pizza, but let's get back to the point.
You like it too much. You probably eat it all the time.
Is the president's rhetoric doing?
Wait. I thought Papa John's was unacceptable. I thought Papa John's pizza was racist.
News media reacting. And what is Bill Barr's role in all of this? Why does he sound so much like Sean Hannity? Joining me now to discuss, New York Magazine's Aaron Carmone, also a CNN contributor, CNN media guru Oliver Darcy, and Vox senior political reporter Jane Coaston.
One of the worst people in America.
Here. Jane, first to you. Is the press right to basically shrug off the president's extreme, wild claims on Twitter these days?
It's not wild at all.
Because I think that we've seen time and time again that there's a distinct difference between Trump's Twitter feed and the Trump administration, and one of those has the power of law behind it. We've seen even in court proceedings in which the Trump administration has basically implied that Trump's tweets don't matter because he doesn't know anything and is just tweeting. And so it's a fascinating move from, I remember 2016, 2017, where we saw real
Ethan, I just realized your problems are solved. Oliver Darcy lives in America. The soy industry is going to be fine. It's going to be
economic turmoil result from Trump tweeting about a business, for example. But now it's basically where Trump kind of airs his grievances, like it's Festivus all the time.
As if none of it should matter.
Right.
There is a lot of rhetoric coming from Attorney General Bill Barr.
The President of the United States engages in his free speech rights and has opinions we don't agree with. That is scandalous. He must be stopped.
To the presidents. Also really similar to Sean Hannity. We saw Barr give 2 interviews this week, Oliver. One was to the Murdoch-owned Wall Street Journal. The other was to the Murdoch-owned Fox News. Let's take a look at how similar Bill Barr's language was with one of the biggest stars on Fox.
After a 3-year witch hunt, a near 3-year witch hunt, was conducted into all things Trump.
But I think if I had been falsely accused, I'd be comfortable saying it was a witch hunt.
We have been uncovering what is the biggest abuse of power scandal in American history.
We should be worried about whether government officials abuse their power.
Democrats now fear the Attorney General. The Attorney General will expose their hoax.
They may be concerned about the outcome of a review of what happened during the...
So it's interesting. So Stelter is using, for liberals, Hannity's reputation against him. Now, Sean Hannity is one of these figures that I just find it bizarre that in 2019, if you ask me, like, if you have to make a comparison, between Sean Hannity or Brian Stelter, Sean Hannity and CNN, Sean Hannity and MSNBC, I will say without question, Sean Hannity is way more credible than MSNBC and CNN. That's crazy to me because I don't like Sean Hannity, and shit from the early 2000s, or was it early? Yeah, about early 2000s. I was just, I was also a liberal. I would like to go back and look at a lot of this footage that I'm remembering and see it again, see how I would see it with the eyes now, particularly when it comes to Keith Olbermann, because I remember watching Keith Olbermann in the early 2000s and being like, oh man, you remember he did that like good night and good luck shit? I was eating that up. I was like, yeah, man, this is really bad. Now, granted, Bush was bad. The Iraq war was horrific, but
Good night and good
Seeing
luck.
what he was capable of just, what is that, a year and a half ago before he retired? That was the same person. So I'd like to see the shit he was saying. But regardless, it's a trick though. And I don't care what Sean Hannity did. Frankly, I don't care what he does tomorrow, what he did yesterday. This changes none of the facts about what the FBI did and what's about to come down the pike in the IG report. L. Ron Humperdinck, Uncensored Super Chat, says, Shimmy Schimmel is a late-night version of Hog Schumer in that he doesn't have a funny bone. He just has to hate Trump, what the crowd comes for, and Schumer doesn't have to be funny. Her shtick is being woman. But what's crazy is that, like, for example, Kimmel and the guy that, what the hell is his name? Stephen Colbert, right? They used to be funny. I think you could argue they used to be funny. And now that they must, because now they must do nonstop political bullshit. They're not allowed to, like, do their own thing. So they're basically whores. They're just told what to talk about. And it's just not funny. Like, you could certainly, if someone came up with, like, a unique Trump joke, that would be fine. I would have no issue with that. Chappelle, the first Trump joke Chappelle told about him being nervous was kind of funny. I actually laughed. And then the rest of them were based on absolute bullshit media narratives, and that kind of ruined it for me. Talking about the president being stressed, that's, like, fine. Acting as if he's a Russian agent, that's total bullshit. Yeah, and it's the same. If you watch MSNBC at 9, so you watch Maddow, and then you watch whoever the fuck goes on after her, and then you turn on Kimmel, it's the same thing. You're seeing the same show. It's the same show. And you can't make political shit. Well, I guess you can make political shit funny. They're not making political shit funny. L. Ron Humperdinck said, CNN's Doughboy loves Papa John's. Of course. Yeah, I really thought Papa John's was the official pizza of the alt-right. Maybe I'm misremembering that. I don't know. Brian might be in some trouble. William Boyat says, can't stand ya. He looks like, Stelter looks like George Costanza. However, I do think ultimately it is Anna Kasparian at this point. Trevor RN says, Oliver Darcy, when Tim Pool calls you evil. Yeah, I do like that, because Tim generally does play the fence. I fully acknowledge that. If Tim Pool is calling you evil, by the way, I don't disagree with him at all when it comes to Oliver Darcy and Jim Acosta. Like, I don't need, like, I'm going to watch the video. I don't need, though, to, like, there's not going to be some new revelation where I'm going to be like, oh, wow, Acosta is evil. Like, I'm already sold on that. But that's good. He's taking, like, a strong stance. I like that. These people are evil. They're absolutely
Under the bridge.
All right, let's continue.
During the election.
So, there we go. Barr, Hannity, Barr. Oliver, is Sean Hannity essentially the Attorney General?
Well, if
Okay, you could do this with any two people that agreed on a subject. You could absolutely do this with anybody.
know any better, Brian, you're watching Fox News, you might almost think, watching the interview, that Bill Barr is one of the opinion talking heads on Fox News, defending the president, casting everything as a deep state coup, and delegitimizing a lot of the work that the DOJ has done. It's stunning, and it shouldn't be forgotten that this came on Fox News. Bill
Can't
Barr
find
gave
the
this
stupid
interview to
scroll.
Fox. He gave the other print interview to the Wall Street Journal.
Good.
Both Rupert Murdoch-owned entities, and so I think it's very clear what he's trying to do. He's trying to send a message to one person who happens to read the Wall Street Journal and happens to watch Fox News quite a bit, and he's using the same rhetoric that Trump uses. So, it's stunning, and I think one other point to make too is outside the opinion personalities there, some of the own people on Fox found it stunning.
Jonah
Basically came on and said that it looked like
you need to come up with a guide for this server.
Trying to defend the president.
To protect.
Fuck Chris Wallace. That I don't care who they bring up. All they do is they find a person that agrees with them and says, "Hey, look at this lofty person." Even Chris Wallace. Fuck Chris Wallace. If he is of the opinion that Bill Barr is factually incorrect about, I mean, he hasn't really said anything very specific about the FBI investigation, but as far as, yeah, it was a witch hunt. I mean, they didn't find what they were looking for, and they're not stopping. It's completely fine. They were suing farmers because, like, if some farmer down the road, if they had Monsanto beans, I think it was Monsanto that did this, and, like, you know how flowers, like, or whatever, crops pollinate and shit, so, like, like the dust of seeds. This is not the most scientific breakdown of what was going on, but like basically seeds naturally, or parts of seeds from another person's farm, would naturally flow into a second farm. And Monsanto would sue the second farm for, I think they tried to act as if there was some sort of trademark or copyright violation. That's a fucking evil company, man. They're a bunch of assholes. Anyway, that's a side issue. It just reminded me of Monsanto. Charles Hartman says, it's okay for the AG to defend an innocent person. That is true. It is completely okay for that. And they really act like Barr's broken the law because he wouldn't do something insane and unprecedented, which they don't say this, but ultimately what they wanted him to do is to push Mueller out of the way once it was clear Mueller wasn't going to indict or anything, and then they wanted him to do his own investigation and indict the president. That would have been crazy. They would have loved it. That would never have even have made it wherever they would fight that. There's no way that would have even lasted for them. But that's what they wanted him to do. Jimmy from Philly says, bald-headed angry fuck Farron is covering for Pac-Man while he's on vacation. That's true. I have a couple of videos. It's an amazing thing. Bald fuckface is covering for smug fagface. Bold like a leopard says, I emailed a bunch of people at InfoWars about the Maddow Mattis stories this weekend. We'll need your help going forward. When can we speak offline? Also, what was the bigger failed orgasm, Mueller report or the Game of Thrones finale? Asking because I don't watch GOT. Excuse me. Ooh, excuse me. That's the Sierra Mist now. By the way, I'm self-reporting a gay strike. Tab was a little more expensive than Sierra Mist, and I got the Sierra Mist first time I'm drinking it. Sierra Mist is kind of gay. I think this is a gay beverage. So just in case you wanted to know, I think I'm on strike 5. Anyway, getting back to the question that I was asked. I don't watch Game of Thrones either, so I have no idea what the fuck everyone is upset about. And it could be legitimate, or it could be like people were pissed about the Sopranos ending, and I thought it was fine. The Sopranos ending, it was like controversial, and people were like, I don't know what happened, and I'm like, I think it's very clear what happened. In a few episodes before the finale, Tony Soprano and a dude were talking about what it would be like to be killed, and how it instantly goes black. Well, that's how it ended, and I think it's clear that he got killed, and that's a great ending. Anyway, that's so I don't know. Maybe it's bullshit. Maybe it's legitimate. Yeah, I will. I'll go through my emails and. Yeah, whatever you need. I mean, we can do another stream. As far as like boosting it, I don't really know anybody that's like, but if you have suggestions, we can try something. Jimmy, I read Jimmy from Philly, and then, okay, good there. Let's go to the other one. Where are we? Okay. Matt Fields, Uncensored Super Chat, says, oh my God, I just realized that Stelter and Kasparian had a body switch and they never realized it. Yeah, they both, if it turned out that they were brother and sister and their father was George Costanza, that would make a lot of sense. The Prophet Joseph Smith, Uncensored Super Chat, says, AOC is a 1-cow wife, Anna is a 2-cow wife, porn stars are a 3-cow wife, Huntsman is a 4-cow wife, Dana is a 5-cow wife, Tulsi is a 6-cow wife, Ivanka is a 7-cow wife, Melania is an 8-cow wife, Johnny Lingo, amen. It's an interesting scale. I would say you're probably going low on the porn stars. It depends on who the porn star is. But I think you're probably, if you have porn stars that low, you're probably deducting personality points, but it would depend. So it would depend. They seem like trouble, though. Like Mia Khalifa, she's hot as hell, but she seems like fucking trouble. Maybe I'm wrongly disparaging her. I don't know. She is hot, though. Let's see. Well, yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. Charles Hartman says, oh, it's okay for AG to defend it in person. Read that one. Mexi Man and Cheese says, Barr went on the highest rated channel. That's pragmatic. I love how CNN pretends that they really care about this subject. A lot of this is about
where is this fucking
they're getting
thing?
Destroyed by Fox News, and they don't really have any answers for how to make it better. So much like they did with InfoWars, they are really trying to advocate for the shutdown of Fox News. And Elizabeth Warren is apparently on board with this, because that's what they're calling it. What did she call it? A hate operation or some crazy bullshit like that? Winston Laws says, "Nigga, you gay as fuck. Tab, official drink of the gays." Is Tab? I don't think Tab is gay. Tab is. You could argue Tab is boomer because like the common response for drinking Tab is like they still make that. They do. I get it because it's cheap. I don't like. This is the problem with something happened with soda. It's fucking expensive now. I prefer the diet root beer. It's like $8 a 12-pack. I'm not paying that. So Sierra Mist was like $4. Michael Duke says Dems want to primary other Dems as a purity test. Non-mainstream Dems are likely in red or purple districts and are likely to lose. I welcome this. Yeah, like, and that's for example something that you would think people, sane politicians, would at least acknowledge, but they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit about things that will directly affect whether or not they'll win elections. That's beautiful. I'm so happy to hear that.
There
if
it
was
is.
my party, I would be pulling my hair out, but it's not my party. Alfalfa says, my balls hurt. Spanky hit them. Well, that's not very nice. Alfalfa, these are like, the little rascals are like children, so I guess you're going to have to talk to your mommy about that. It sounds rough. All right, let's continue with this bullshit.
To the president.
Yeah.
And Aaron, I bring all this up because this is a cinematic universe. Either you subscribe to this conspiratorial view of the world or you don't. And most Americans don't. But the ones who do, they are deeply committed to these theories that there was an attempt to take down President Trump.
I have to say, Brian, I'm of the opinion that we should be freaking out when we see the word treason. I'm of the opinion that if we were to take this administration at its word, we should all be running around like chickens with our heads cut off. And I actually think, I mean, Jane, I hear you. There is a disconnect between the Twitter handle and what happens in the administration. But as we know also from the Mueller report, that's also because a lot of the president's administration hasn't been listening to him, right? Actually just treats him like some kind of like nutty figurehead at times, even though he guides all kinds of things like immigration policy. But precisely because of the dynamic you're talking about Barr not being a challenge to Trump, I think we should take it very seriously. We have the President of the United States tweeting about treason while having an attorney general who sees himself as the wingman to the president. And I think that adds up to something deeply disturbing. And I know we're all tired and the press can't treat everything like a crisis, but it is a crisis.
But they do anyway.
And we often say that words matter. Well, the words that the President of the United States is using matter.
Well, let's take the example of something that had started on Twitter and has moved into administration action. A headline from the New York Times here saying, Trump wants your tales of social media censorship. Another headline from Vox saying the White House is doing this, maybe try to get your email address. What happened this week is the White House came out with this announcement that they want to hear if you feel you've been censored on social media. Oliver, what is this really about?
I think this is about a broader culture war that the White House has taken the lead on. They know that Americans in the middle of the country, they think that they're under attack by elitist institutions. Part of that is the media, the mainstream media, and then now they're using big tech companies, it seems like. Big tech companies like Facebook, like Google, like Twitter, to say these guys are out to get you, they're out to censor your ideas, you're under attack, and they're using that, they're effectively fear-mongering, and now apparently trying to build up some sort of email database to send updates and whatnot.
I think if 2016 was partly about Trump's attack on the media, this media, 2020, Aaron, is about an attack on social media.
They deserve it.
Why choose, right? I mean, in both instances, it's Trump working the refs, right?
Bullshit.
It's making media companies defensive when they are told that they have biases against conservatives.
It's been demonstrated they have biases. And again, it's not just conservatives, it's also the anti-war left. They're also biased against them.
And if we're talking about censorship, to me, the concerning thing, the only entity that can actually infringe on the First Amendment is the government. So you actually have the arm of the federal government. I think we should take this seriously too, pressuring private companies that have a right to moderate their forums.
I'm sorry, if you have protection protection from 230, you don't have the right to moderate your forums, and they're not fucking forums. You're fucking full of shit. These people are such liars. Oh my God. They're supposed to be neutral platforms. They sold us on being neutral platforms. And then everyone went to them and they were like, hey, now we have the power. Fuck all you people and fuck America and fuck the First Amendment. We're going to do what we want.
Under the law, pressuring them in order to stoke the grievance of your voters. And using the government for that, I do think, does infringe on people's First Amendment rights.
Fuck you,
and Jane,
bitch.
You cover conservative media all the time. This is your focus at Vox. How effective do you think these calls about censorship are?
I hope they're very
I think
effective.
that they've proven to be very effective. And, I always like to point out there's a difference between conservatism and the GOP, because conservatives are, and you're now hearing some conservatives and a lot of Republicans making the argument like maybe it's time to regulate Facebook and Twitter. And I'd like to note, as Aaron pointed out, because of Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act of 1996, Facebook and Twitter can kick off whomever they want and moderate your content, and that's fine because that is in the law. They have those protections.
You are completely misrepresenting that.
But now you're seeing from folks on the conservative side who generally oppose.
I mean, you might need to excuse her. I think she's had a stroke. It's quite sad at such a young age.
Regulation in kind of a large sweeping way, saying no, these companies are too big. It's kind of surprising when you start hearing conservatives sound like Teddy Roosevelt talking about Standard Oil.
At the same time, there is real legitimate reason to wonder about these tech companies and how they enact their standards.
That's
it's just
true.
not limited. It's not unique to conservatives or liberals. It affects everybody.
Right, exactly. And you're seeing that time and time again, that who should get to decide what gets kicked off and what doesn't, whose content gets monitored. There have been numerous instances, some great reporting in The Guardian talking about how African-American activists have had their work censored, but then those activists had the FBI show up at their home, which goes far further than some people getting their tweets deleted or shadow banned. But it's also reflective of how important these
people are fucking monsters, man.
Companies have become in everyday life, because you hear from some people saying like, why don't you just get on Gab or use another social media platform? And the response is, no, this is how I reach my family. This is how I want to do this. I just feel
and you fuckers try to shut Gab down, so shut the fuck up.
I'm being censored. Again,
disingenuous
not really clarifying
cunt.
what they mean by censored, because sometimes it's people saying, I think this should have gotten more reach than it actually did, which is, that's generally not what censorship is.
Yeah, why doesn't the algorithm like me more?
Exactly.
Fuck you, liar.
Make me have to have fans. I want fans under the First Amendment.
Precisely.
Bullshit.
No, my Instagram fans can't reach
There's actually
me.
like an incentive now.
Disgusting animals. Fucking unbelievable. The level of lying these three whores are engaging in, four are engaging in, this is insane. And look, I really hope, I hope that there is something that happens where we will actually have free speech on the internet, and these people can get fucked right in the ass. And since we won't be penalized for mocking them, that there's a major backlash against them.
Fox News appearances, and your engagement actually shoots up.
Absolute
That's what happened
garbage.
with Silk, remember?
I see. That's very interesting.
One point, too, is that these are very serious issues like you bring up. The problem is that they're being exploited by bad faith actors to suit their own political agenda.
You're a
And
bad
I think
faith
that's
actor.
what we're seeing is it
with
would
a
be
rat
great
face.
if actually Congress, when they had these people in front of their committees, that they asked serious questions. Instead, they're bringing Diamond and Silk to come on and mislead the
censored.
committee, and they're citing outlets like the Gateway Pundit, right-wing blogs, to make these claims that fall apart when you actually look at them.
Exactly.
Outright lie.
That's the problem.
And you have someone like Senator Ted Cruz, who should know better, saying that Section 230 requires platforms to be neutral. It doesn't. Look at the law. There's no requirement that Facebook
What a
or Twitter
liar.
or any means that
Oh
uses
my
third-party
God.
information, which could be the comments on an InfoWars article. There's no requirement that these platforms be neutral. It's just not in the law.
InfoWars says, at least it used to say in their own terms of service, that if you do not abide by the rules, we will kick you off, and that civilization has rules, and expect to follow them or face the consequences. So this
I want to. Oh God, I have to. You know what? I have to. I'm gonna chill. All I'm gonna say is, I hope one day I'm celebrating what happens to Oliver Dorsey. I'm not talking about violence, but I would like to see him have some sort of moment where he loses everything, and we can mock him in the way that he's mocking us. Maybe, I don't know, perhaps, am I being radicalized? Is that too vindictive? Am I being unreasonable? Maybe. But people who deliberately, I would argue that Oliver Dorsey has deliberately advocated and contributed to the removal of American citizens' civil rights. People like that are the lowest of the low. They should go down in history as who did that in the past. You want to talk about the civil rights movement and shit from the 50s and the people that were against that? He should be considered one of those fucking people. All the people that have done this, they should never be able to live this down. I think that's wishful thinking, because it's probably going to get worse and they're probably going to get away with it. But these are the lowest of the low.
This is nothing.
Precisely.
Right.
Exactly.
Let me ask you quickly, Oliver, about one other story, and that is a headline you and I published this week on CNN.com about Elizabeth Warren rejecting Fox News, saying she's not going to show up for a town hall that she's been invited to participate in. But she's kind of the only one right now, right? It's just her and Kamala Harris that have said they're not interested in appearing on Fox.
Right. And Pete Buttigieg came out the other day and basically released this letter saying that he wants to talk to the Fox News audience.
By the way, Buttigieg's response to this is it's minor. It's a minor threat, and I don't mean a threat like a negative thing. I mean, I guess technically it's negative. I'm not talking about like a threat. I'm talking about a threat to any reasonable person that makes reasonable moves on the Democratic side is a threat. It's a small threat. I don't think Buttigieg has any chance, but he took the right position on this. As far as a sane politician says, okay, I want to go on Fox News and I want to talk to the people myself. That's what a sane politician does. You should want what Elizabeth Warren is doing. You want every Democrat to do that. I still don't think he's a threat, but Buttigieg, when it came to his response on how to treat Trump's tweets and his response on going to Fox News, he made the right moves. And people who make the right moves, you got to be wary of as far as they might have a shot. I doubt that he's a threat, but you want to see Elizabeth Warren. The good news about Warren, she's making the exact wrong move here, and apparently she's one of the more popular Democrat candidates, so that's good.
And his argument was that if we don't talk to the Fox News audience, the hosts are going to color us and characterize us, and that's not something we should want. I personally find that argument to be a bit naive. Buttigieg saying,
even though Buttigieg is completely right,
that if we don't go on Fox and talk to them for an hour, that the audience isn't going to know what we're standing for. I think that Fox News, Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, these people are going to misrepresent and provide misinformation to their audience about these candidates no matter what, no matter if they go on or if they don't go on. So I don't know if 1 hour of him doing this town hall is going to
Makes a difference?
Yeah.
Look, Mayor Pete's on tonight. Other town halls are scheduled. Aaron, in 15 seconds, is Warren right that Fox is a hate-for-profit racket? The Democrats should not have...
Democratic primary, and she's speaking squarely to the Democratic primary audience. I think accepting the argument that Fox News is the way to reach
okay, so I agree that what Elizabeth Warren does shores up her base. Absolutely shores up her base. But you can't win with just your base. She can't win like that. She needs to get votes from other places, and she's telling those other places to go fuck themselves, which again, I'm very happy to see.
Conservatives, in a way, it's kind of insulting to conservatives, because if there's anyone who's
Moccasin.
persuadable, they're not
That's funny.
watching Fox News.
Interesting. All right, Oliver, thanks for being here. Aaron, Jane, please stick around.
Lowrider says, use my money, buy diet root beer, you are worth it. Well, thank you, Lowrider. Appreciate that, sir. Some of it's also just the principle.
Stogglebog.
$8 12 packs. Oh, they can suck my dick on that. That's insane.
Stagglebog.
For one 12 pack.
Bog.
What is going on? $5 or less. Remember when we used to get deals? I'm one of these.
Sorrow Merc.
In my day, I used to get deals $2 for a 12 pack.
Shifting
of soda.
Meyer.
Oh God.
That's funny. These are great names.
Says Tab is YMCA level gay, but then I drink Freshka. Yeah, I would put Freshka in the Sierra Myths category. It's not. See, this is the thing. Okay, this is the problem with Tab. It's a pink can. I can't argue against that. As far as the beverage itself, it's definitely it's a little harsh. That's why I like it. It's kind of harsh. For some reason, I like harsh beverages. That's why I don't like this Freshka. There's no burn. Tab has a good burn and there's caffeine in it. But the can is totally gay. I can't get around that. It's the gayest can ever.
Maybe, bro.
It's pink. It's gay and
not
blue.
right now. I'm playing World of Warcraft.
They're going to use any bullshit example they could possibly.
This is my main addiction. Hey, Supreme Games, more how's it going, bro?
Conservatives and the anti-war left are being massively censored on the internet. Byron Bushnell says, I don't have a problem with violence. Here's the thing with this. I have this delusion, and I think it's a delusion, and look, I don't want to see violence. I don't want violence to happen, but I also have this delusion that, I can somehow keep people at bay by being like, well, no, let's think about it. That's probably not going to happen. I think violence is inevitable.
Well, no, let's think about
and
it.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens. This is my take on it. I don't believe you should attack people or get violent, but that's my opinion, and I don't control
Lethal
anything. I have no
self-defense.
control over this. You cannot go around and take people's jobs and free speech and fuck with them, try to fuck with their family. You can't do shit like that and get away with it forever. And so what I would like to see is these fuckers to stop. People like Oliver Darcy, I would like to see them stop fucking with people, stop censoring people, stop advocating for censorship, stop lying about American citizens, stop attacking American citizens. I would like them to stop. Because I think if they stop now, then we could avoid this. Are they going to stop? Fuck no, they're not going to stop at all. I think arguably they want violence. But we'll see. I mean, the shit going on with Soph, with BuzzFeed, and now the police are investigating
That's
her
crazy.
because of her opinions. Because she said she joked about nuking all the Muslims. Really? Okay, maybe maybe they're going to do an investigation and find out. Well, yeah, she did in fact have the nuclear launch codes, and we're going to have to talk to President Trump. E. Michael says RC Cola and Tropical Fantasy were the poor people's soda. I have good memories of RC. I have not seen RC. Is that gone? Is RC gone? I have not seen
RC Cola.
Drink that. Tropical Fantasy. I don't know if I recall that. Tropical Fantasy. Yeah, I'm gonna play the next video. I'm gonna look.
Oh, this guy does some damage.
Maybe I'll recognize it. All right, so now we have the weekly Joy Reid panic.
Oh no!
What's going on here?
And Klobuchar have each taken spins on the Fox machine, and tonight South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg will take his turn. But do you know which
I see this
Democratic hopeful
Manispring
won't be
totem.
heading across
this is
the
about
plaza
Elizabeth
for a
Warren.
Fox town hall? Senator Elizabeth Warren. In rejecting their invitation, she tweeted,
All right, yes, I've never seen this beverage. I don't believe I've ever seen a beverage called Tropical Fantasy. I'm looking at pictures right now. I don't think I've ever seen that. Interesting. Maybe it's like a local thing, like Mr. Pibb. Mr. Pibb is the shit, but you can't really get it. You can get it. Actually, it's weird. You can get it at Five Guys, but I don't see that in a lot of stores. Mr. Pibb is fantastic.
Mr. Pibb.
It's like Dr.
God,
Pepper.
I want some Mr. Pibb
hate
now.
for profit works only if there's profit. So Fox News balances a mix of bigotry, racism, and outright lies with enough legit journalism to make the claim to advertisers that it's a reputable news outlet.
Wow.
A Fox News town hall adds money to the hate-for-profit machine, to which I say, hard pass. Joining me now is Angelo Carasoni, president of Media Matters, Tara Dowdell, business and political marketing consultant, and Gabriel Sherman, MSNBC contributor and special correspondent for Vanity Fair. Thank you for being here, Angelo. You were
Now, see, the last clip, people like Oliver Darcy that advocate for the censorship of citizens, they're probably the people that piss me off the most. They really do. What we're seeing here, though, now these are censorious people as well, but these are fools who are deliberately fucking their own party, and this is, I enjoy. When I saw this clip for the first time when I was doing the news aggregation, I was enjoying watching this, because they are on board with what Elizabeth Warren is doing. Now, Fox is a big boy. Fox is also corporate media. They're just not as bad as MSNBC and CNN. Fox can handle people like this advocating for their shutdown. I don't really have empathy towards Fox, although it would be outrageous if they were shut down. They should not be shut down. They should be allowed to do what they do, just like MSNBC and CNN can. But what these people are doing here are smugly looking into the camera like they're intelligent and advocating for an absolute losing strategy for Elizabeth Warren to not go before the Fox audience. And Pete Buttigieg, who I think is a
Wow.
total lefty who I would never vote for in a million years. However, he understands, I think, the strategical mistake his opponent is making, and he is going to act on it. Whether or not it'll make a difference, I don't know, because you got like Buttigieg and Tulsi Gabbard.
World chat is
and,
such garbage.
Blonde chick, I forget her name, who they don't seem to be polling too well. I think Buttigieg is doing better than Gabbard. I'd like to see Gabbard do well, and ultimately, I'm not going to get into it now. I would like to see Tulsi Gabbard lead to the absolute destruction of the Democratic Party, but we'll get into that at some other time. I'm not voting for her in 2020. There's zero chance of that, but I do like her as a candidate as far as just being a sane candidate with, like, we're not even in a spot here where it's like, okay, we got two sides. We got Republicans and Democrats are simply people that I politically disagree with, but otherwise, these are sane politicians. No, that's not what's happening here. Tulsi's one of the few sane politicians, I think. But so Elizabeth Warren, and we'll see what Joe Biden does. But the people who are deliberately not going on the #1 news channel, you can like Fox, you cannot like Fox.
You can tell they're gonna lose.
But you still have to acknowledge the reality. They are #1 in the ratings. Also, who gets very good ratings is MSNBC. CNN does not get good ratings. They're in the fucking toilet. But MSNBC is a legitimate competitor to Fox, and in the past has surpassed Fox from time to time. The Russiagate shit really seemed to kind of put Fox up at #1, at least recently. But to deliberately advocate for a
Oh, this guy's got a cute little name Thingat.
on Fox, that's wonderful, because it's arguably the stupidest possible decision Elizabeth Warren can make.
Media Matters, it was the first to get out there and sort of say that the right thing to do would be for content to be denied so that the advertisers would also walk away from Fox News. You're seeing Elizabeth Warren doing that now. I want to read you what Pete Buttigieg said in defending his decision to actually go on. He wrote, "If we ignore the viewers of Fox News and every news platform that doesn't share our worldview, we will surrender our ability to speak directly to millions of American voters. If we don't show up, the conservative media will tell our side of the story for us." What is your response to that?
Well, I have a couple of responses to that. First, there's this notion that somehow Democrats have already ceded Fox News, and that's simply not true. Democratic elected members of Congress appear on Fox News 300% more than Republicans appear on MSNBC. And
that's when Fox is negative about them. Pete Buttigieg is not going to be negative about Democrats.
35% more than Republicans appear on CNN. So already Democrats are there. So it's never been ceded to begin with. I think the question here is, so I just don't understand that argument, right? There's this big assumption that's not borne out at all. And so far it hasn't proven to have any political effect. I think the bigger question right now is whether or not, and that's what I feel like Elizabeth Warren has understood, and a lot of these other candidates have not, which is that Fox News was on the ropes. I mean, in the little bit of the tease you played before, the reason that Jeanine Pirro got suspended, even for a short period of time, was because of this advertiser problems that Fox was having. They desperately needed to convince the advertisers that week, because they were doing a big meeting, that they had some standards. And look what happened. Donald Trump attacked the network because of that. Yes. That's how you weaken Fox News' power. So my goal is not to empower Fox News, and certainly not to enable their single biggest defense right now, which is that, look, some of our opinion people are a little bit out there, but our hard news is our hard news, and you should trust it. And that's simply not borne out. And I don't think it's worth validating that particular piece of counterspin that Fox News is using right now to get themselves out of an otherwise desperate situation.
And Gabriel Sherman, author of The Loudest Voice in the Room, and very much an expert on Fox News. Is there validity to the sort of the Buttigieg argument, the Bernie Sanders argument, that you have to go over there because along with the polemics, there is an audience that is somehow fungible between Democrats and Republicans?
Well, here's the thing. Fox News, the argument they make is that they have the largest audience in cable news, and that just de facto by its size, there are...
And by the way, I think you could see Trump was concerned about this because he ripped Fox News for doing it. And I think Fox News should do whatever they want and whatever. But I think he saw that... Again, I'm not saying Buttigieg is actually a threat, but what he did over the weekend and what happened is one of the few times you see Democrat politicians making like the correct moves. And he seemed to do decently. Now, whether or not that's going to lead to people voting for him or whatever, I have no idea. We'll see. If the polling goes up for him, then that what do they call it, town hall? Then that town hall worked for him. Now, certainly there's a discussion to be had that if you're like a Republican-run news network, is it wise to have your opponents on there? And that's, whatever. It's corporate media. I think that, like, if the town hall is what is pushing you away from Fox News, like, look, Fox News, outside of Tucker Carlson, and I hate to admit it, but Hannity, Shepard Smith. Shepard Smith is horrible. So
hey, yo, hey, beautiful.
I don't
streaming.
think people should have a positive outlook on Fox News.
What the hell?
I think it's fine for like individuals, but as a network, they're still corporate media. L. Ron Humperdinck says, "I'll send you Mr. Pibb from NC. You are my nibba." I appreciate that. The P.O. Box is 1005 Pontiac Drive, number 109, Drexel Hill, PA 19026. That's awesome. Also, of course, always
Oh,
shout out
God.
to the people that send stuff. I appreciate that. I'm making I'm actually.
It's cute as long as it's got
video
satanic symbols in it. Tee-hee.
About the latest Mr. McDowell sent me a Hillary Clinton painting I'm hanging on the wall, so we're going to do that. Probably the call-in show Saturday, so we'll probably do that Saturday. Also, given that we're having the call-in show Saturday, it's up to you guys ultimately, but if you enjoy the product thing that we do and you want to send more in, you can do that. So a couple people have sent some in already, and so if it's something that you want to see, then we'll continue to do it. Cooper Sees the Truth says, are you looking at the Tropical Fantasy fruit juice drink or the Tropical Fantasy Cola and Mountain Rush? I think Cola and Mountain Dew knockoff are more recognizable. So there's two things that come up. It looks like there's a modern product called Tropical Fantasy. That comes up, and then also the old school 2-liter bottles come up.
1,000 creations.
So I don't
make like
this is not familiar.
Post like pictures online.
Considering I was like,
and then other people be like, I want to buy
that's
this.
weird. Is it? That's what I wonder. Is it like
say-
local soda, or did I just? I mean, of course. What are we talking about? The 80s? Like I imagine there's a lot of shit that I.
yeah, because you're trying to outcompete child labor in
Yeah, don't
China and
remember that.
India.
I do remember RC Cola.
So that's why you sell like luxury stuff.
I thought RC Cola was good.
Like these people charge.
Oh, you know what? Remember Shasta? Now,
Remember
Shasta
Shasta?
was I think the cheapest soda that you could buy, and the Jehovah's Witnesses. There used to be a time that at the Jehovah's Witness conventions, you actually could get free food. Now, it technically wasn't free. They highly encouraged you to donate, and generally you should probably, like if you take some food, you should probably donate, but whatever. A lot of people didn't. I was a kid, so of course I didn't, and I grabbed as much shit as I could, and that's what they had. They had Shasta, which was, I love soda. I think you can tell that. That was one of the sodas. It was rough. I still could get it down, but that was rough. Shasta Cola, and they had all these different ones. That was brutal. That's very bad memories of Shasta because you're sitting at Vet Stadium for literally 8 hours in 100-degree weather listening to cult propaganda for 3 days straight. That fucking sucked. Russell C. Shackelford Streamlabs says, did I read
Got
the
it.
soybean one about the, and then we were talking about Monsanto. I do think I think someone has a Monsanto Streamlab here. We have one. Man, Streamlabs does not update. What? Okay, now it's updated. That's weird. Okay.
We're gonna dip out on this guy now.
Streamlabs. Today's 5/20. Holy shit. Okay. Infoterrorist says every day is Festivus. Yeah, on this channel there's a constant stream of Costanza type people. Black Hebrew Israelite says, I put crackers on my pizza. That's right. Yeah, that sounds about right. AJ says, I think you're actually more liberal than a so-called liberal. Liberal means freedom. Yeah, I guess it's like the discussion of like, what do you do when...
Yeah, well, I'm done.
Like, how do you control whether or not a label gets taken over? I don't think we can control it. It's an interesting discussion. Using labels is probably a mistake. We have to break the conditioning. It's very hard to do. But yeah, if you're looking at the actual definition of a liberal, a lot of these people on the left are not liberals. On the other hand, like, it's still considered the left. It's an interesting discussion.
You
Kid
too.
says, why does mommy hit daddy and yell about the patriarchy all the time? Daddy loves mommy, but mommy keeps hurting daddy. Yeah, that's I don't know why that's going on. Sorry you have to deal with that. It's you should probably make sure you have permission from your parents. Russell T. Shackelford says, recommended books, Seeds of Deception, Health Hazards and Seeds of Destruction, Geostrategic for Good Monsanto, GMO Summary. Also, documentary, Genetic Roulette. People want to text your air to
Ledger
save you
from
global
Tanaris.
warming, but not a peep about patenting / poisoning the food supply. Hopefully they're not successful with that. That would suck. That would absolutely suck. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Oliver Darcy. I guess I was talking so much shit about Darcy. Now he shows up. I do not appreciate your hatred of me. That's fine. I can't help it. I am a hero. I protect sensitive ears from hearing bad words. I save safe spaces. Why can't you love me? I love your fragility. Bad people say bad things. Words hurt worse than sticks and stones. Ban words now. It's one of those examples. Because sometimes you can't tell. sometimes it could be someone just saying they're Oliver Darcy. But I really think with what they say, in this case, I think it's probably Oliver Darcy. What a bitch. Russell T. Shackelford says, P.S. aspartame is made from excretion of genetically modified bacteria and was pushed through FDA approval when Rumsfeld was head of its creator, Cyril. Yum yum, eat up. P.S. corn syrup in soda is also GMO. Or does Tab make you call it pop like a fag? Yeah, Tab. So wait, doesn't Tab have saccharin? I believe Tab is one of the few sodas that has saccharin in it. I believe saccharin is definitely bad for you. I don't generally buy the aspartame shit. Now, it is very possible that at some point in my life I will get a huge lesson of I told you so on aspartame. Saccharin, on the other hand, I think is bad. And yeah, it's I don't even like. It's not that I like Tab. It's just that at Amazon Fresh, it's just cheap. And maybe I should get a spring for the $8 diet Barks. Although I believe that would also. I think all soda is kind of bad for you. But what can you do? It's like I don't know. What can you do? Infoterrorist. It makes you feel great. They put shit in it. They have to put shit in the soda because it makes you feel good. And then if you don't drink it, oh, by the way, when it comes to aspartame, I do buy that there's aspartame withdrawal. Absolutely, there is aspartame withdrawal. It's not as harsh as caffeine withdrawal, but it's definitely there. Infoterrorist says RC Cola and Moon Pie with a link. I remember Moon Pies. They were good. All right, let's continue with this.
Democrats who watch Fox News. Just because you have millions of people, you're going to get some Democrats. Now, where this argument falls apart is that, for this 1 hour of a day, they will maybe have some neutral questions. But as Angela was saying, this is part of their business model to sell to the world that we are a legitimate news organization. They have a seat in the White House briefing room with the White House Correspondents Association. They are treated like a legitimate member of the media. That only works if the rest of the world treats them as a legitimate media. And I've reported that inside Fox News, there has been tremendous concern about the advertiser boycott. Donald Trump personally called Rupert Murdoch when there was talk about suspending Jeanine Pirro. So this is clearly, something that is this tug of war between, are we Trump State TV or are we a news outlet? It's something that's playing out right now.
Okay, and what, bitch, what are you? What propaganda channel talking shit about another channel doing propaganda?
Let me just play really quickly for you, Tara. Elizabeth Warren, and this was just a little while ago. She's campaigning in New Hampshire, and she reiterated what she said about Fox News in writing. Here it is.
Fox News is a hate-for-profit racket.
Woo! Somebody's throwing shade.
And much.
By the way, all of the people that watch Fox News, what do you think they're gonna be like? Oh, I watch a hate channel, and I can't wait to vote for her. Are you kidding me?
America's starting to catch up to that.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Most of America doesn't watch any of this shit, which is good. But the people that you could absolutely get voters. I think. Well, theoretically, you could get voters from Fox News. Elizabeth Warren getting voters from Fox News, highly unlikely. You'd have to be a sane candidate and put on a really good performance. Do they have anyone in their party that can do that? I think the only person is Gabbard, and she's just not polling enough. But it's early. It's still early. What is she at? Anyone know percentage-wise? I think it's pretty low. Stop the Hammering tried to argue that Bill Nelson, because he's at 8% right now, and that was the same
Stop
number.
the hammering.
At one point, that he's going to cause the downfall of Donald Trump. Bill Nelson. Lawrence O'Donnell is out of his mind.
And that means that they are losing right now sponsors. This is all about money. They lose sponsors because sponsors don't want to be associated with the hate. I will find many ways to reach out. I'll talk to Fox News reporters. But what I'm not going to do is give them a full hour of my time so they can raise money and they can raise credibility.
Dumbass, it's not about giving Fox News anything. It's about appealing to the people that watch Fox News. It's incredible. Camilla Zapolsky with Uncensored Super Chat says, try going outside your city or county to buy soda. Had to do that when we lived in Chicago. 13% tax on soda, ridiculous. That has to be part of what this is. Philadelphia has a soda tax. That's got to be what's part of this. Like it depends on it. Yeah, it depends on where you go. I am very close to the city, and I think they're like $12 in the city, which is like what the fuck? Yeah. Apparently, from what I understand, the Philadelphia beverage tax isn't working out the way they planned. Hopefully, they'll get rid of it because that's fucking crazy. Matt Field says, "Keep on gaslighting the right. Just keep on doing it, you fucking numbskull dimwits." Yeah, like what kind of hello, potential voter? Go fuck yourself. Now vote for me. Who would ever do this? You're gonna make yourself. You're gonna pretend. What's she doing here? She's pretending she's morally superior to everyone that watches Fox News. Are you? That's never gonna work. This is the same shit they tried in 2016. It didn't work. It's. I'm glad to see it. Frankly, Cooper Sees the Truth says Shasta Black Cherry was the only good Shasta. I don't think they ever had that at the JW convention. It was like lemon lime, cola, and I think maybe orange if you got lucky. That was rough. That was a rough time. Eric Gasse says, "Here's my officially coming out donation. Come out of the closet or coming out as like a tap drinker. There's multiple areas on here where people could be coming out of the closet, but I appreciate that, sir. And again, good luck in New Zealand." Ethan Johansson says, "Oh, fuck, now I started the bullcrap GMO discussion. GMOs are just sped up natural selection, guys." My issue with Monsanto is the suing farmers, if it was the company that did this, because they basically can't, there's no way to control whether or not the wind blows some shit onto your property. There's no way to control that. So to sue farmers for doing that's crazy. As far as the GMO discussion, I remember back in the day I used to I looked into it, and then it just got like impossible. I was like, this shit isn't, and then you can really take that shit further. You can look into, what's the shit they put in cereal? BMH or something? I don't think it's BMH. It's like, I'm like, you know what? Like, we're just going to roll the dice here and try to live. And hopefully, if I make it to 60, I'll be happy. I'm almost there. 18 years left. I think I might make it. We'll see. L. Ron Humperdinck says, "We of the Hawaii delegation offer Warren for trade." Yeah, I would absolutely. I'm on board. I second that as a member of the Hawaii delegation. Absolutely. We should. I could also represent the Native American delegation. I don't know. What's the technical... I really don't know what the percentage is. I think it's very low, so perhaps I couldn't offer the delegation, but they should kick her the fuck out. If I can't, they should kick her out. That's so funny that Elizabeth Warren, who deliberately lied about being a person of color to get shit, basically, is now virtue signaling for moral bullshit to the American public. She has no chance. Zero chance. Matt Field says, "The only thing coming out around here is HB's Cobra bitten cock. Get in line, faggots." So once again, I just want to make clear my position on this. It is the moral and right thing to do under such a scenario to let me die. And like I said, depending on where we are, I might just jump off the mountain. Because, I mean, if you're at a place where a cobra can bite you, it's at least in the jungle. I don't think there's any sort of... cobras around here, so I think I'm going to be good. But anyway, Fletcher Lentz says, "Tulsi in 2019 reminds me of Bernie in 2015, completely ignored by corporate press and Dem special interests, if at all possible, and mercilessly smeared if the campaign can't be ignored. Hashtag I'm with her, hashtag fuck war." I think it was the Daily Beast came out with an article about how Russia loves Tulsi Gabbard. They're absolutely smearing her. They're going, if she gets popular, they're going to do what they did to Trump to her. The thing is let's say the perfect scenario plays out and that she is able to get as much enthusiasm as Sanders did in 2016. The DNC, there is no way they're going to let her win. They're going to screw her. And I hope that instead of being a pussy like Bernie Sanders, that she actually fights and starts her own party or joins whatever. I don't care. Green Party, becomes an independent. Take all of your supporters out of the Democratic Party. That will absolutely, if you can lead a very strong movement like Sanders was able to. She can't do it now. Now she's not popular enough. But that's what I would like to see for Tulsi Gabbard. In 2024, if she runs, if she drops a couple issues, like stop with the assault weapons ban bullshit, and I want to hear her cross-examined about abortion. I want to hear her talk about the Ralph Northam and Bills from New York. If anyone has clips of her doing that, if you could send them to me, I'm very interested in this. I want to see what she says. I'm very interested in that, because that could be a total turnoff if she takes that position. I know she's pro-choice. I just don't know, is she fucking insane? And we'll see, because I find her to be sane in a lot of areas, and I'd like to hear her talk about that. So hopefully at some point they will. Ethan Johansson says, you're correct, HB. Thanks. Trust me, all farmers hate Monsanto, but they're kind of fucking us in the ass constantly. That sucks. Yeah, they're ruthless from what I understand. That's horrible. Sorry to hear that. Basinski says, Warren is 1/1024th alcoholic. Yeah, exactly. She like drank a beer, and she's more of an alcoholic than an Indian.
Now, first of all, she's a really good explainer. I have to say, she's a very good explainer. Is that message more salient for, as you as a strategist, putting on your strategist hat, to a Democratic audience, or is the Buttigieg and also Joe Biden sort of reach across the aisle message more potent in a primary?
From a political standpoint, the goal is to get the most votes, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be Captain Obvious here, but it's to get the most votes, right? And so persuasion politics is extremely difficult. Meanwhile, we have Democrats who have been sitting out elections, who actually agree with Democrats. But for some reason, they have not, or many reasons, they have not been motivated to vote for a Democrat in any election, or anyone else for that matter. So Elizabeth Warren is the best positioned at this point to actually appeal to those voters who have sat out because of her.
What evidence do you have that would work on those voters? What do you talk? What? I think those. What do you? Okay, whatever, dude. I don't know what she's referring to. Is there polling that? Hey, do you like your candidates? You know, when you have a fake Indian running for your party, do you like it when they virtue signal about Fox News? Would that get you out to the polls?
Her level of authenticity, which we're seeing her gain traction,
She has zero
while
authenticity.
not getting the same amount of coverage. We're seeing her gain traction.